Welcome back to Quick Rundowns, your go-to podcast for everything combat sports. Today we have a massive topic to dissect. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. It's a fight that has everyone talking. Was it real or was it rigged? And most importantly, what does the body language reveal about what went down? Stick around as we dive deep into this bizarre spectacle.
Declaring your winner by unanimous decision, Jake.
Well, it happened. Jake Paul beat Mike Tyson.
Now, let's break it down. The fight, a headline event that millions tuned in for, ended in a decision with Jake Paul as the victor. On paper, a young, highly athletic, and well-trained Jake Paul defeats the legendary but aging Mike Tyson. But here's the catch. The fight felt like something was off. The stream quality was dreadful, the pace was slow, and frankly, at times, it felt more like an exhibition than a real bout. Tyson, and if it was, how did the body language play into this strange display? Now, let's start with a small but telling detail that occurred early in the fight. Jake Paul's gloves. At one point, the broadcast team was debating why Jake Paul was chewing on his glove. Was it just nerves? Was he biting the glove due to some issue with his mouthpiece? Or was he trying to send a subtle message? According to body language experts, this behavior reveals much more than nerves. It's an unconscious signal that suggests stress, anxiety, or even aggression. When a fighter begins to chew on their gloves or bite their teeth, their body's fight or flight response is in overdrive. But let's also consider the psychology behind Jake Paul's actions. He's been in the spotlight for years, but stepping into the ring with Mike Tyson is a different beast altogether. He knew he had the upper hand, but there was a lot riding on this fight, and it showed. As a body language expert, I have to tell you, there is a lot happening here beneath the surface. From the very start of the fight, Jake Paul is displaying signs of nervousness. His lip tension is a classic giveaway. You'll notice he tenses his lips for brief moments, as if trying to calm himself down. It's a small thing, but it's there. Interestingly, his attempts to look calm are offset by involuntary signs of anxiety. He starts rubbing his groin area. This isn't just random. It's a psychological reaction to stress. When under pressure, the body produces adrenaline, which can cause muscle tension, leading to the need to scratch or rub certain areas. Then we look at Mike Tyson's entrance. There's something very telling about the way Tyson behaves before the fight even starts. You might have missed it if you weren't paying attention, but Tyson, like Jake, is also showing signs of stress. His body language is much more restrained, but there's a certain tension around his mouth and eyes. He's trying to limit his stimuli, keeping his focus solely on the fight. Remember, Tyson is a seasoned fighter. He's been through it all, but at 58 years old, every fight is a battle against his own body. This is where the body language becomes crucial. Tyson's movements are calculated, and he's trying to preserve as much energy as possible. As the fight kicks off, we see both men circling each other, both cautious, perhaps overly cautious. Jake Paul is looking to assert dominance early with his jab and reach, while Tyson is just trying to survive, but not necessarily fight with the same intensity.
And a good right hand to the body after the jab, lay the jab down, do a good right to the body, push Mike off balance again.
But here's where things get interesting. Tyson starts biting his glove. Now, anyone who's followed Tyson knows this is not new behavior. It's something he's done throughout his career. But in this context, it tells us a lot about his emotional and physical state. Tyson, at his age, knows he's not in his prime anymore. He's not the fearsome predator he once was. The biting is a way for him to cope with the stress, to dull the physical discomfort he's feeling as the fight goes on. It's almost like a coping mechanism, a fixated behavior he's developed over time, potentially from trauma or stress. It's well documented in psychology that people under extreme stress or anxiety tend to revert to repetitive behaviors to self-soothe. And in Tyson's case, that's biting down on his gloves. Now let's talk about Tyson's reflexes. Throughout the fight, Tyson's movements appear sluggish. You can tell that his reactions are off, his footwork isn't as sharp, and his legs don't look as stable as they used to. The punches that Jake Paul is landing seem to affect him more than they would have in his prime. At one point, we even see Tyson off balance, struggling to regain his footing after a body shot. This is a clear indicator that Tyson's reflexes are diminishing with age. As a result, he's unable to retaliate in the way he once would. And even though Jake Paul is clearly in control, he doesn't go for the knockout. Let's pause for a moment. This is where the conspiracy theories come in. Jake Paul, a younger, stronger fighter, had every opportunity to knock Tyson out, but he didn't. Why? Could it be that the fight was deliberately set up for Jake to win on points, while Tyson simply needed to survive for the spectacle? There's a chance this whole fight was rigged to be a cash grab. Think about it. A young up-and-comer like Jake Paul gets the win, and Mike Tyson, despite his age, gets to retain his dignity. The match isn't meant to be a showcase of skill, but rather a spectacle to make money. And when you look at the way the fight unfolded, it seems like everyone got what they wanted. Tyson didn't go down in the first round, and Jake Paul gets to say he beat a legend. After the fight, we hear something interesting from Tyson himself. When asked about his glove biting, he admits to having a biting fixation, which he claims has been a part of his fighting routine for years. This is a direct revelation that gives us insight into his state of mind during the fight. It's a coping mechanism he's used to manage his stress, and it's clear that the level of anxiety he felt in the ring was heightened due to his age and the fact that this fight meant so much. Tyson has always been a complex character, and his honesty here gives us another layer to understand his actions during the fight. But was this enough to ensure Jake Paul's victory, or was it part of a much bigger picture? Let's talk about what happened immediately after the fight. Jake Paul, despite his victory, didn't seem to relish it as much as you'd expect. He leaves Tyson hanging for a moment before congratulating him. The awkwardness in this moment tells us a lot. Jake Paul's win wasn't earned through a decisive knockout or even a memorable fight. It felt hollow. A win on paper, sure, but it left a bad taste in the mouths of many fight fans. And then there's Logan Paul, who made an embarrassing scene with a deodorant sponsorship during the post-fight chaos. It was all about selling a product rather than focusing on the sport. At this point, the whole event felt like a sideshow, a cash grab. So was this fight rigged? The body language suggests stress, discomfort, and frustration from both fighters. Tyson's body language says he wasn't in this to win, but to survive. Jake Paul, meanwhile, avoided the knockout, likely because he knew that a quick finish would have been too controversial. The fight ended with Jake Paul winning, but it feels like a manufactured spectacle. Was it all staged for the money? Possibly, but one thing's for sure. This fight wasn't the high-octane, intense boxing contest we were hoping for. It was a predictable, controlled event that favored the younger fighter and protected the legacy of the older one. That's all we have for today's breakdown. Was the Jake Paul vs. Mike Tyson fight rigged? You be the judge. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more quick rundowns of the latest in combat sports. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.